There are 3 best practices on carb timing that we use within my Rip Grandpa carb cycling methodology that I personally use to stay lean year round, that Karen used to completely transform her body, that clients like Kevin here, who was a keto dieter and switched to my carb cycling, used, and that you can use to get and stay lean for life. Inside today's video, I'm going to share how my wife completely transformed her body after a battle with colorectal cancer, forced her into premature menopause by eating more carbs. Now, I'm also going to share 3 compelling real-world case studies and research studies confirming once and for all why we've been lied to about carbs making us fatter and sicker. Hey everybody, Coach Sean, the Rip Grandpa. You know, if we listen to mainstream cookie-cutter fitness advice, we think we need to avoid carbs because they convince us that they're evil. They're responsible for obesity and belly fat and today's most deadly diseases. But right now I'm going to turn this on its head by sharing 3 world examples, starting with this research study up on the screen. Now, this study was done between 2 groups of diabetics, which is actually a perfect example because most people think that too many carbs lead to diseases like diabetes. But if we look at this study, both groups, the high carb group and the low carb group, achieved substantial weight loss results. They both achieved great results in their blood pressure, their cholesterol, and their fasting glucose. Now, full context, protein and calories were created equal. So when protein and calories are equal, it does not matter whether you eat a high carb or a low carb diet. The results are going to be the exact same. So there's example number 1, the diabetic study. The second compelling example is Chris Voigt and the results of his 60-day potato-only diet. So Chris Voigt was the head of the Washington State Potato Commission, and they wanted to remove potatoes from the kids' school lunch program. And so he got irritated and decided to protest, and he ate nothing but 20 potatoes a day to prove a point. Now, 20 potatoes a day is something silly that I would never recommend, but despite all the bad press, it does prove that high-carb foods like potatoes don't make us fat. So if we look up here on the screen, after 60 days of eating nothing but 20 potatoes a day, you can see his starting weight and ending weight. He lost over 20 pounds. His starting blood glucose, cholesterol, triglycerides, and even his blood pressure were outstanding after doing nothing but eating 20 potatoes a day for 60 days in a row. Now, the third example is looking at the blue zones of the world. Now, the blue zones of the world are where more people live to 100 years old than anywhere else. So obesity and diseases are almost non-existent in these blue zones. Now, a good majority of these blue zones eat a very high carb diet. And 3 examples are the Okinawas, the Tarahumara Indians, and the Catawba Islanders. All of them eat between 50 and 80% carbohydrates in their diet. And obesity and diseases are literally non-existent. Now, context again, they're probably not eating crap out of a box, a bunch of processed sugar, and they're probably walking a lot more than us. But again, just goes to prove once and for all that carbs do not make us fat. So now let's talk about how you can use this information in the real world to eat lots of carbs to increase your body's ability to burn belly fat without becoming one of the 94% of dieters who regains all or more of their weight back. So my goal, and my goal with every video, is to make you a 6%er. And so I want to share quickly how I stumbled across this research, and it was through my wife's cancer journey when she was forced into premature menopause from the radiation treatments. Severely damaged her ovaries, and she started accumulating all kinds of upper and lower belly fat and storing fat in weird areas like her upper hips. And so as a fitness pro, we owned a personal training studio in Ann Arbor. We had helped hundreds of people. We just did what we always did. We cut out the carbs after 5 p.m. We started adding in more cardio. We started eliminating all cheap food and all booze. But no matter what we tried, nothing worked. And so I started doing some research because I kind of felt like a failure. I mean, here I am, this fitness pro helping all these people, and I can't even help the same lady that I'm married to and live under the same roof with. And so I started doing research, and I stumbled across a study on hormones. And it basically showed how dieters who focus solely on hormones instead of counting or cutting calories lost 65% more weight. And of course, this got me intrigued and sent me on a quest down a rabbit hole studying more research. And what I found out is that when we eliminate carbs, we're eliminating one of the foods that can really help us optimize our hormones. So the first thing that happens When you cut carbs for extended periods of time, is you experience something called metabolic depression or metabolic slowdown because you're suppressing thyroid and leptin hormones. And so most people don't know that carbohydrate refeeds and glucose from carbohydrates are building blocks of thyroid and leptin hormones. I mean, your thyroid hormones themselves are a glycoprotein. And in order for your body to convert T4 to T3 in the liver, this is the active form of the thyroid hormones your body's cells can receive and use. And every cell inside your body has a receptor for thyroid hormones, needs glucose in order to activate your thyroid gland. And of course, leptin sensitivity is the same thing. I mean, a year after the Biggest Loser contestant show, they measured their leptin levels and they were almost at zero from the extreme dieting. And so carbohydrate refeeds or carb timing done the right way, which I'll share with you in just a second, actually resets leptin levels as well. Again, these are the two master hormones of your fat-burning metabolism. They help regulate your body weight, they help regulate your basal metabolic rate, and they help regulate your body temperature. And so by strategically eating carbs the right way, you can prevent the metabolic slowdown and the decline in the leptin and thyroid hormones. And then research even shows with males who resistance train and cut out carbs, they destroy their testosterone levels. So compelling research. So now let's talk about the 3 best times to eat carbs so that you can enjoy lots of carbs, reset these fat burning hormones without suffering from fat spillover. So as I mentioned, there are 3 best practices on carb timing that we use within my Rip Grandpa Carb-Cycling methodology that I personally use to stay lean year round, that Karen used to completely transform her body, that clients like Kevin here, who was a keto dieter and switched to my Carb-Cycling, used, and that you can use to get and stay lean for life. Now, the 3 best times to consume carbs, before I mention them, sidebar here, this is obviously not crappy carbs out of a box. Now, rice is probably one of the exceptions to the rule because rice is a great anaerobic fuel source and starch. If you exercise, it's one of the best carbs that you can eat. So things like rice and potatoes and any type of beans or lentils, oats, these are all great carbs. Fruits from nature are also a great carb. Your body does convert over 50% of the fructose that you consume to glucose in the liver. So these are going to be your best choices. So you can't think that you can eat sugar all day long or eat crap out of a box and get results. It's all about the strategy. And the 3 best times to eat these carbs are pre-workout, post-workout, and dinner time. Now, understanding that your metabolic and hormonal demand and need for carbs is based on activity level. So if you're not an exerciser, I just recommend that you follow a high protein, lower carb diet, moderate fat during the week, and then carb load or carb refeed 1 time a week to increase adherence so you can look forward to a higher carb day, to maybe have a cheat meal and enjoy yourself, and to reset the hormones that you may have lowered during the week. Because if you're not an exerciser, you really don't need carb cycling. You just need to make sure that once or twice a week you're adding in some carbs so you don't suffer from metabolic depression or hormonal decline. Now, if you exercise, your demands are greater. And pre-workout is a good time to have your carbs because it's going to increase performance and energy, which can contribute to your overall results, your calorie burn, your muscle gains. Now, what if you exercise in a fasted state? That's completely fine as well. Just understanding that if the goal is to gain muscle or the goal is energy or performance or strength, you're probably going to be better off having those carbs in the pre-workout window. So a starch or fruit, always with protein. Always want to eat it with protein. Dinner time is another great time to have carbs, especially if you don't exercise or you struggle with sleep. Research shows, believe it or not, I'll put some studies up here on the screen, that late night carb eaters actually lose more weight than early day carb eaters, and they have better sleep quality because what happens with glucose at dinner time, whether it's from fruit or starches, it's going to help suppress cortisol to increase melatonin. And so late night carb eaters do have better sleep. So if you struggle with sleep quality or insomnia, this is something to consider. And then the best time is post-workout. Research shows that in the post-workout window, for approximately 120 minutes, your body's ability to partition or store carbs in muscle and liver glycogen is greatly enhanced. Remember, when you're done working out, your muscles are like a sponge that's been wrung dry. So glycogen levels in your muscle and liver tissue are empty. The tank is empty and you have room for carbs to come in. And when you combine carbs with protein in this post-workout window, research shows there is a 73% higher DIT, which is called diet-induced thermogenesis. So your body's ability to absorb and use carbs in the post-workout window can increase your metabolic rate 73% higher than normal. So at the 120-minute mark, the 2-hour mark, research shows this glycogen replenishment enhancement actually declines by up to 50%. So there's your good, better, best carb timing practices. So if you're enjoying this video and you're getting something out of it, please do me a favor and share it. Hit a like and drop a comment if you have questions for the algorithm so we can help more people overcome the myths that carbs make you fatter. Now, I want to end this video by just sharing a couple more advanced tricks and techniques. Now, there is a specific way that we teach you how to pair your foods properly when it comes to carb cycling and eating lots of carbs. And so our typical rule is that when fats are up, carbs are down, and when carbs are up, fats are down. And so this is a food pairing methodology that we use to help you control blood sugar and insulin and regulate cortisol. And this is all inside the 3 different ways that I can help you in the description below. So we have a done-for-you course that you can do on your own. You can also do it in our school community. And then I have an app and a high-level program, and you can learn all about those in the description. So I'm always grateful for people taking time to watch my videos. So before I end this video, I just want to say thank you for taking time out of your busy day to check out my content. Now, the last thing that I'd like to share with you is that you do want to give yourself a reward every single week. And so the way that we structure our program, and of course, there's 1,000 ways to skin the cat. What's the best way? The one that you could adhere to. And this is why I love Rip Grandpa Carb-Cycling. I've been using it for almost 20 years now because it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. And so what I do with my clients and what we teach in our courses and in our app and in our high-level program, and we customize for people, is we do Monday through Friday is more like a fat-burning phase. So we use a combination of carb deplete days and carb down days. So we're carb cycling based on activity level. And we're keeping our body in a slight or aggressive deficit during the week. So we have this fat burning phase. Now, during that fat burning phase, because we are in a mild or aggressive deficit, we are down regulating metabolic rate, getting metabolic slowdown. And we are intentionally down regulating leptin and thyroid hormones because we have to be in a deficit to lose body fat. It's the law of thermodynamics, the math equation. But every weekend, I intentionally have my clients and I personally go into a surplus or at least at maintenance for 2 reasons. Number 1, is dietary adherence. Again, the best diet to follow is one you can stick to. If you know you have that carrot dangled every weekend, you can have a high carb day with a cheat meal and a dessert, and you actually know based on the hormonal and metabolic effect, it's going to enhance your results and not take you 2 steps forward and 2 steps backwards. Now you can psychologically stick to a structured plan during that fat burning phase Monday through Friday. So carbing up on the weekends is going to reset these leptin and thyroid hormones, boost back up that metabolic rate, and give you overall adherence because now you have a reward to look forward to every single week. And let's face it, if we deprive ourselves of our favorite foods, our favorite desserts, our favorite pasta, pizza, cake, ice cream, brownies, all that stuff during the week, and we don't binge our stuff on the weekends, we just use it as a reward, it's going to taste 10 times better. And so, again, always grateful when people take time to watch my video. Thanks for watching. Keep going strong, and God bless.